Hey guys, just checking in. Hope you enjoy those videos. The second one obviously is going to be a running series from one of the interview we found. So we're just having fun with that character. Why not?
Yeah.
So anyway, we last year, if you remember, we did a couple sketches that our late friend Michael Tangenal had written. We didn't have actually a lot of time this weekend to be able to do that, but tomorrow is the 6-year anniversary of his passing, so I just wanted to at least say something about him, and our, some memories and things like that, and also I wanted to bring up another friend that I haven't gotten a chance to mention either, and both were obviously very contributing in different sketch groups that I've been a part of. So I'll start with Michael. Obviously, Michael was probably one of the best friends I had out here in Washington. He had auditioned for me way back in 2012, I think it was, and no, 2011.
Yeah,
that's right.
Because it was when you did Second Helping.
That's right. Yeah.
Second Helping show.
Yeah, and we had did a show at the former Eclectic Theater, which is no longer with us either. But and it was a great show, and he was
really was.
And from then on, like you said, we reconnected. He stuck with the group, and we had some falling outs with certain members, and he was like there to listen to me rant and rave. We would meet a lot of times. We'd have meetings and stuff like that, and while we were waiting for the others, sometimes we would just talk about comic book movies and who he would. I would always ask him, who would you cast in this role? He had a whole Supergirl outline that he was doing, and he also wrote a comic book character as well.
Yeah, he was very creative.
Yeah, and super creative guy. And he also taught me how to tango for a show called Out of Sterno.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was the he was the dance coach on that show.
He was, yeah. And that was in addition to improv comedy and sketch and acting. Another one of his passions was dancing. But just one of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet. Loyal, and just would be there to listen when you needed, and he helped. We helped write a show called Electric Man. You might have seen that character pop up a couple times on here. Yeah. Not quite in the full costume that I'd like it to be, but it's because the costumes are never front of ours right now. But anyway, but yeah, we wrote that show, and that was really something that was a Halloween character costume that my dad did a long time ago. And but he helped write that, and and played one of the characters in there called Rubber Band Man, which was really good. So obviously, it's been 6 years since we lost him, but it still very much hurts when that time comes around. It's like, and it's one of those things where like you can kind of tell when it's coming, because you sort of have this feeling, and I've kind of had this feeling all week. It's when I'm driving home or something from work. It's just like I'll think about him, or I'll hear a song and I'll be like in a sad song, and it makes me think, and yeah, obviously we miss him, and we appreciate his talents and his friendship. And obviously, our hearts still go out to his family, who lost him way too soon. So we just want to have a little dedication to him there. And he was a big part of the Seattle Turbo Turkey thing that we do. But before I did Turbo Turkey, I did a thing called Essential Stupidity, which was back in Indiana, before I came from. And we had another friend who also passed back in 2017. His name was Ryan Cox, and I didn't get a chance to do anything for him because the problem is I know he passed in June of 2017. I never remember the actual date. The main reason I remember Michael's is because, of course, getting the call from his mom.
Yeah, well, it was because also...
And it was also the week after 4th of July, which we had just gotten together with
Right,
him.
It was 1 week after 4th of July.
So anytime that comes,
He had just come over for dinner with us.
Yeah, we played games, we did podcasts, we had a good time. And so I always know that Ryan had passed in June, but I can never remember when. But just to give a little info on Ryan, I won't go on too long, but he was also one of those just giving guys. What happened with him was we did a cable access show, as you did back then, before YouTube was as big as it is now. But me and
YouTube wasn't a thing at all when you first started that show, was it?
It was just starting to get its infancy, I think. But anyway,
YouTube is 2005.
Okay, then yeah, no.
So yeah,
anyway,
before YouTube,
I did 3 cable access shows. Thank you. Anyway, but anyway, the show we did was called Essential Stupidity, and it was me and another friend of mine, Donovan, and Brett, and a couple other people that would come on periodically.
Not me.
This is
This is before me.
She's met everyone. They were at the wedding.
Yeah, but this is before my time,
yeah.
really.
I mean, I was dating you by the time we started Search the Penny.
Okay.
But we were still doing long distance. Anyway, back to Ryan. So what happened was Ryan had actually had a bout with flesh-eating bacteria, which he survived but it had been very obviously weighed on him, obviously, because that's a horrible thing to go through.
Yeah, he was still recovering.
Yeah, he was still recovering. He was in the hospital still recovering, and I can't remember how long it had been since he had laughed or smiled, but it had been definitely a long time, and I think his aunt was staying with him, and I just remember he happened to tune in our show, and apparently it was the first time he'd laughed or smiled in months, you know. And then he came to, we did a live show, because we had started doing those the previous spring, and he came to that show, and like we had at the time had this idea of starting a venue and all that stuff, which didn't end up working out, but at the time it was cool, you know. And he didn't even know us, he'd never met us before, but he wrote $100 check and put it in the thing, you know. And so we kind of reconnected. We connected with him after that. We did a couple fundraisers. He was the only one who actually sold any coffee for this fundraiser thing that we did.
And he did a lot of promotional art.
Yeah, and he did promotional art. He did DVDs for us. We had a couple best of for our show. And just like, he was always there. He'd film things for you. He'd take pictures for you. He took pictures with us when Anna came up to visit. You know, one of those guys that would always reach for the check, you know. Not that he had to or was, you know, needed to. But like, you know, and even when, the thing is, he was also very humble. Like he was, you know, I'd sit there. One time I pointed out just how awesome he was for doing, and he says he's happy to do it. Fix my computer, fix my dad's computer. My dad had to really push to give him $50 because he was just going to do it for free. That's just the kind of guy he was. But just one of the most generous people you'd ever meet. If there were more people like him and Michael in this world, it would be a better place. And, you know, and honestly, both of our groups would have been bigger had we had more people like that. Not that they're not big, or not that they're not successful at all, but yeah, I just want to take a moment to say that. You know, I know we're mostly a comedy channel, but you know, we occasionally like to show emotion.
Yeah.
But they were two very good friends that were taken too soon. He passed from cancer, unfortunately, which fucking cancer. Too many good people have suffered from that. But yeah, and I just remember my friend Donovan had texted me and let me know that he had passed. And I can remember I had to go and coach a soccer class, and there wasn't really a time to cancel it because it was like I literally had to be there. So I literally had to just kind of push through the class. I ended up calling out of work that night because I couldn't go to my other job. And I remember just actually typing something out about him, and then as soon as I actually read it out loud, I just finally lost it, you know. And it was just, because when you meet people like Ryan or Michael, it's even harder, you know. I mean, anybody, family, friends, whatever the case, it's always hard when you lose them. But in some cases, it's like, okay, well, they you know, they're in their 80s or their 90s, and you know, or they've been fighting something for a long time and all that stuff. But like, I guess with Ryan, it was just like, after what he went through with the flesh-eating bacteria, I figured, he'll beat this cancer thing, and you know, he'll keep being, you know.
Yeah, well, he also didn't tell anyone when it started.
Right, I believe
to get worse.
Yeah, and that's his.
Which is
just with
choice,
Chadwick Boseman, right? You
that's
know,
his
he kept it very
right.
secret.
Exactly,
you know,
right.
That's totally someone's right. Some people don't like to share that stuff, and that's their business. You know, your health, your marriage, your life, whatever the case, that's your business. You know, you don't have to share that with the world. I know social media thinks you do, but anyway, but yeah, it was crushing to lose both of them, and I mean, not within the same year, but around close to the same time, June and July, you know. So yeah,
it's like less than 2 years in between.
Yeah, and both took me by surprise and shock. Because, like I said,
shocking.
With Michael, it was just he was
no just signs. Visiting us.
I was texting him the day before or two, and
he was like, fine.
Yeah, and it was just one of those situations. He had a heart murmur when he was young, and he just went to sleep and didn't wake up.
Yeah, he'd had a stent in his heart.
Yeah, I think so. You know,
that hadn't been replaced.
Yeah, and for what my friend Corey had said, because he had worked as a paramedic, it was one of those type of things where you go to sleep and you just don't wake up. It was no pain or anything like that. So he went peacefully at least, but it was just kind of it was heartbreaking that phone call from his mom, who we still remain close. We were at her wedding last week, so that was nice. That was a nice thing. But yeah, I just wanted to say something about him and Ryan, just to kind of double dedication there. But yeah, just a little heartfelt moment here and there. We're not just laughing people, we have hearts too. But yeah, they just had a great effect on my life and even my comedy stuff. It's helped inspired by both of them. Yeah. So we miss you guys. We know you watch from up above.
Yep.
And and we hope to see you again someday. So thank you guys for tuning in for this message, and obviously thanks for the 2 new subscribers, as I said earlier. As I said, we'll try to get to 50 subscribers, and we'll do some fun stuff. Maybe watch a really bad,
celebrate 50.
Watch a bad movie and review it.
Yeah, how can we, or let us know how you would like to see us celebrate 50 subscribers.
Let us know. And yeah, as far as the other channel goes, we had a plan for this podcast. We're still working on that. A friend had lost his phone, and so that was his way of being able to do the Zoom stuff with us. So right now he lives in Boston, or not Boston, but in Massachusetts, like off an island. So we're just kind of waiting on him to, once that gets going, we'll do that. So I know we haven't done a whole lot on the other channel recently, but we'll try to, once Loki finishes up next week, we're going to go back and we're going to review all the Disney Plus shows.
Yes.
And just one big review.
Yeah.
So we'll do that. We're definitely enjoying Loki very much.
Yeah, really, we've enjoyed all of them.
They really have, But Loki might be my favorite thus far.
Yeah.
So, yes. All right. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in, and keep on liking and subscribing.
Yes.
Good day.